No. I want
Sorry, I was just thinking you want to just get those who are so going to deadline for some of these projects to what portion for June, but you have been at it. So we did one project then we talked about it. I noticed here with Jim Lee I
So tomorrow is the deadline. We just want to make sure that everyone okay with extending it 20 days to just allow many entities just a few
So if the price you don't feel so clear,
with the new metrics and process.
so at least like
That's not called for proposals.
actually, yes.
Early on, or the residential resolution. Amendment 6. I think that falls on a Saturday, so Monday, so I would say let's just keep it to either 28th, which is Friday, or July 1st. Maybe 20. Okay. Yeah, so next one, yeah.
pretty good. So getting rain and when you get that's part of Jimmy's
not right now, but by the time you finish.
Yeah, he's just in private practice, in the private sector. We just total replacement is a long-term business move.
Yeah.
So he wanted to he's the CEO of insurers in Texas, which is a headquarter insurance company. He seems like a great guy, real smart. Got a good vision. So he is Jim's replacement for Mr. My guess is that he was the appointed to get all
next city council
yes, because yes.
So what you kind of did,
Yeah, well, too bad.
This is August 6th.
I've seen it.
We've got a free, it's a 5. We've got maybe some business to on the second. But yeah, we don't have a meeting on August, so we're doing that. So I guess there would be. Yeah, now we can spread that. I don't know if John is still on the MPO. Probably is right by appointment, because even if it's not by service on council.
Other than it won't be the budget.
Okay, never mind. Yeah. He's here. Check with Danielle. Say on it. See, sometimes covers.
The suckers are living on
Victor is Stan. Okay. And Shane is covering from and then there's Will. At 2:30. Okay. We'll get the action. Thanks, man. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
Well, I got it.
Really shut down.
It's crazy.
This mine's just drawing fire. All right, let's call the meeting of the Waco MPO Policy Board of June 20th, 2024 to order at 1:32 in the PM. Thank you all for being here for our one and only summer meeting. We're going to be off for July and August and then back again for our MPO 50th, the big blowout black tie gala that we're going to be having in September. So looking forward to that. Thank you all for being here. And I apologize, I'm the only Waco City. Well, no, I've got Jed Cole, our Plan Commission chair here as well. So representing the city of Waco, but we're a little quorum nervous on the city of Waco. So I apologize that more of us aren't here, but we've got our 10, we're ready to proceed. But I don't need to call any other councils into session. And though it is the longest day of the year, likewise, this will not be the longest meeting, I promise. And we will hopefully get everybody out of here by 2:30-ish. We've got our public hearing. We provide an opportunity for the public to address the MPO Policy Board on any agenda item. Please complete the speaker's registration card with MPO staff. Speakers will be allotted one presentation at the beginning of the agenda for each agenda item the speaker wishes to address. Please note that each action item will have a separate public hearing later in the agenda. Speakers have the option of addressing the board at either time, but you will only be allowed one opportunity to address the board per agenda item. Do you want to deliver that in Spanish as well? Okay.
Brindamos una oportunidad para que el público se deje a la Junta de Políticas de MPO sobre cualquier tema de la agenda. Completa una tarjeta de registro de orador con el personal de MPO. A los oradores se les asignará una presentación al comienzo de la agenda por cada tema agendas que el ordenador desea abordar. Tenga una cuenta que cada punto de acción tendrá una ausencia pública separada más adelante en la agenda. Los ordenadores tienen la opción de dirigirse a la Junta en cualquier momento, pero solo se le permitirá una oportunidad de dirigirse a la Junta en cualquiera de los momentos, pero solo que le permitirá una oportunidad de dirigirse a la Junta Directiva por cada punto del orden del día.
Thank you so much, Dan. For items not on today's agenda, there's a separate hearing of visitors at the end of the meeting. MPO staff, do we have any registered speakers?
No.
Anyone else from the public wanting to speak at this time? All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and move to the approval of. Oh, absolutely. Has this meeting been posted?
Yes.
Okay. And there are no other councils to be called into session. I apologize. All right, we will move to agenda item 3 and consider approval of the minutes of May 16, 2024 MPO Policy Board meeting. A copy of the minutes was provided in your meeting packet. Are there any corrections to the minutes as submitted? All right, hearing none, the minutes are approved as presented, and we will move on to agenda item number 4, which is consideration and possible action regarding the approval of resolution 2024-9, adopt amendment 6 to the 2045 MTP.
So even though we are working on the 2050 MTP at the moment, but our current MTP is still 2045. So any project that needs to be approved as part of the current TIP needs to be reflected into our current MTP. And that's what precipitated this particular amendment. And move back to the previous slide. One of the things we want to emphasize that our MTP is the large umbrella planning document that covers almost everything else we do, and hence this particular graphic that we intend to. We're absolutely in love with this graphic, so we keep showing it in all of our meetings, and we intend to use this at all of our public meetings to ensure that general public also understands that MTP is the driving document of the MPO Policy Board that ends up determining and giving direction to what is likely to be followed in terms of project funding. Next slide. So there are 2 particular items that we want to bring to your attention. Both of them deal with 2 separate projects, I-35-4C and the Twin Bridges project. In I-35-4C case, it's a project with a cost revision that we are reflecting in our MTP, and it reflects an increase of $1.7 million. It was 275, which it has increased to 276.7 million. And for Twin Bridges, we're doing 2 things. We are revising the project cost estimate, which has declined by about $6 million. And we're also moving the Twin Bridges project from the long-term priority to the short-term priority. Just to make sure that we understand why we make the changes. Many times the projects for which we do not have foreseeable funding stream that we can be confident of, in our MTP, we tend to put them in long-term priorities, especially since we do not have any funding available. In this particular case, that's what Twin Bridges was placed. However, the TxDOT Commission made the funds available for this particular project, and therefore we want to bring it to the forward. This project was needed right since the beginning. The change in the cost is largely because of how engineering has been allocated its budget, and that's what reflects the $6 million decrease in the funding. Next. We held the public.
What is the time frame looking like on that?
So Twin Bridges is still slated for early next year, and so sometime in March or April. Is that
January is the current letting date, so they would probably start construction on March.
And I-35 is still on the same schedule as before, which would be before the end of the year, but we are expecting the construction to start by the end close of this calendar year.
Thank you.
So we held the public engagement process. Solicitation comments were from June 10th through June 19th. No official public comments were received. We had the public information meeting on Monday, June 10th, 2024. I should point out that quite often when we do this public engagement process, we do them all simultaneously. And so our comment periods, that's why you'll see us repeat these 3 times for the amendments. That simply means that we try to combine them all into a single meeting. The Technical Advisory Committee reviewed and made its recommendation on June 6th to adopt this particular amendment. And today we are holding public hearing and we are requesting your action today at this meeting on the proposed amendment. Next slide.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Let's open the public hearing, I'm sorry, at 1:39 p.m. Do we have any registered speakers on this issue? No. Okay. So then we will close the public hearing at 1:40 p.m. And we've got resolution 2024-9. Any comments or questions for staff before we solicit a motion here? All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Vice Chair Thomas and a second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, motion carries unanimously. We will move on to item 5, updated discussion regarding the 2050 MTP call for proposals. Dr. Kumar.
So the after that previous image of the bus, this is our second most favorite image. And you notice how we have been diligently moving forward. We are in step 5 of the 2050 MTP, and we are getting very close to reaching the deadline for the call for proposal for this current 2050 MTP. Next slide, please. So the timeline, our project proposal, the call for proposal opened on 25th, and we had 2 workshops, April 4th and May 2nd. The final category of weighting that was approved by the policy board on April 18th, and June 21st, that's tomorrow, is the deadline, and July 1st through 31st is the evaluation period in which we are convening the evaluation team, which is, but before we get to the evaluation team, one of the maps we want to share with you, next slide please, is that this is what the location looks like so far based on all the regional coordination meetings that we have completed. And these are the corridors throughout Metropolitan County for which most of the projects are being considered. And you would notice how US 84 and portions of 35 are prominently located, as well as 2 of the areas that are perpendicular to US 84. You'll also notice the 2 locations, one in the north side for the Brazos River and another one in the south, that will be part of the feasibility study in which we want to explore the regional connectivity north of the Loop 340 and south of the Loop 340, as well as you'll notice some projects near Ross and West. Next slide, please. The evaluation team is Zane, it's here, Amy Berlali-Highland from City of Waco and also chair of the TAC committee, Eric Kaufman, Andrew Taleb, Brian from McGregor, and Victor from TxDOT. This is the evaluation team. Next slide, please. We have convened a meeting on June 8th at 9 o'clock for the first of the meeting of the evaluation team. One of the things we want to point out is that this is a lot of work on the part of the evaluation team. So far, we have already received quite a few proposals, and each proposal will take at least 30 minutes to review. And we are expecting the evaluation team to put in at least 20 to 30 hours of their work in the month of July to be able to do that.
Is that edit on there? It says June, it's July.
Thank you. And so the meeting will be at our office on the first floor conference room, and we'll schedule the second meeting in which we'll decide on the final ranking of the projects, and that's the ranking will go out to the public with, and then we are going to ask for your approval today for the directive action to approve for the public engagement schedule. We do need to determine the total number of public meetings that we need to hold for the MTP as well as their locations. Right now, tentatively, the 5 locations that we're considering is one evening meeting, public meeting at this location where we are, another meeting, daytime meeting at the Waco Transit Center where our technical advisory committee meets. We also would like to hold a meeting at MCC for the groups that come from China Spring in that area, as well as one meeting at Hewitt Civic Complex and another one at Belmead Civic Center.
So these are the 5 locations that we think we would like to hold the public meetings at, 3 of them in the evening, 2 of them during the daytime, in which we'll not only present the MTP, but overall regional vision that, that you have put together and how we have been following up on that. So request for you is if you have any thought or comment, if you think we need to hold more meetings or less meetings, daytime, evening, we are entirely open to it. And the other item related to this update is also that we have not received all the project proposals so far. And so we would like to get your thought on whether it makes sense for, especially since not all the projects have been submitted yet. Some of the projects have been fantastic. So for instance, on behalf of the county, Chris has submitted a project for Tokyo Road, which we looked at all the details and we were thrilled about it. But there are some projects that have not been submitted, and we were wondering if you all feel it is okay, since our evaluation process is really more about the planning rather than actually funding allocation, it makes sense for us to extend it by a week or so.
So yeah, we've got, I think on the timeline, we've got June 21st as kind of call for proposal closes, and then the proposal evaluation period being July 1st to 31st. We're wondering if anyone has any objections to just extending it 7 days to Friday, next Friday, June 28th. First time we're kind of doing it this way anyway. I just thought if any entities that would help them submit.
What will be great is to follow up with the people who are responsible for submitting it and let them know that it's really important that we submit them projects to the best of our ability.
Any issues with that? Just moving it 7 days? I don't think there's any harm to it. But, okay.
We'll do that. That's all I had on that.
Okay, then let's move on to item 6, review, discussion, and directive action regarding recommendation from Waco MPO Technical Advisory Committee to begin public engagement or solicit public comments concerning the MTP project selection.
So part of the project selection and the planning process is to organize a public meeting, receive public input, and bring it to the policy board meeting. And so by the end of July, we will have a ranked list of projects. However, we'll take the ranked list of projects and go out, do the public meeting. And whatever input we get from the public meeting is going to be brought back to the policy board. We will bring the ranked list on the September 8th meeting of the policy board. And with the public input, we'll bring the final list to the policy board for their approval at the October-November meeting. And so at this point in time, what we're requesting the policy board to do is to give us the directive to hold 3 to 5 public meetings during the months of September and October of this year. Next slide.
Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Got a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Vice Chair Thomas. No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Collector's directed action. And now we are moving on to 7, update discussion from TJKM regarding a recommendation from the Waco MPO Technical Advisory Committee to begin public engagement or solicit public comments concerning MTP project selection. And I believe we have staff presentation and we have a guest, Ruta Jerry-Wall. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to just mention that, all of you have been fantastic in your engagement with process in this entire the plan development process of comprehensive safety action plan. But it would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the fact that, at the very last minute, we had to make the change to the deadlines. And the moment SS4A, we're working on already a very tight deadline of trying to bring it for the policy board approval at the May meeting. However, SS4A announcement made it really important that we have the comprehensive safety action plan approved by the policy board by April 29th. And so we called for a special meeting, and Ruta and her team did an excellent job of trying to marshal all the resources together to be able to produce the document that we could adopt at the April 29th meeting, making all the entities in McLennan County eligible for implementation grants. So we are very grateful for that. I also want to acknowledge the fact that that part of when we did the RFP, it was really important for us to have a project team working on this planning process. That is a very high caliber. We cared very deeply about it, and Ruta and her team put together a wonderful project team to work on this. And the result is very clear that you saw what the comprehensive safety action plan that we have produced. Today, we will have some minor amendment, very small amendments to that. But with that, we wanted to invite Ruta and her leader of the TJKM to come and address the policy board. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Actually, I would like to start with, we really appreciate this opportunity given to us. We were not working in this area at all. You didn't know us at all. But, just having that confidence that we will give you a project that would work for you really means a lot to us. Along with that, I want to thank the MPO staff and everyone on the task force team, as well as all the cities and agencies. I know I was right there every other day in the meeting. I want this tomorrow, I want this tomorrow, I want this tomorrow, but it wouldn't have happened without your support. So we really appreciate every single agency who has taken a part in this project to make it successful. With that, I also want to make sure that please do not consider this project as a planning project and do not leave it on your shelves to look fancy-mancy and not do anything about it. It is a living document. Make use of this document as much as possible. It is the first step, or it is a prereq document that every grant opportunity needs. So please look at the document, keep on updating this document as and when required, and use this document to get as much funds as you can. There is going to be exit funds out there. We still have this SS4A last August 30th date still up there. If you want to do any more planning projects, please go for it and use this document to get more and more funds and implement all your proposed improvements that you want for the safety. So a lot of hard work has gone in. Please do keep on using this document and keep on updating it. And thank you everyone for this support. I couldn't have done it without any one of you. So again, thank you so much. And thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. Any questions about this process? All right, let's move on to item 8, consideration of possible action regarding approval of resolution 2024-10, adopt amendment 1 to the 2024 Waco MPO comprehensive safety action.
So there are a couple of items we wanted to add. These are all very small, minor items. We added the collision analysis for smaller cities of Beverly Hills, Bruceville, Eddy, Lorena, and Weasel. And we also added a few projects. One of the projects related to pedestrian safety improvements, where McGregor schools are doing some relocation planning, and so the pedestrian safety improvements related to that, as well as Fort Graham Road and Golson Road intersection safety project, and also Hewitt Drive truck circulation feasibility study. These are the 3 projects that have been added to the current CSAP. Next slide, please. We also added an appendix to the planning document, which is a complete list of original crash reporting system categories and how we have grouped them together in order to produce the dashboard. And we added the signatures of letters of support and resolutions and some minor typos that we needed to care for. We changed them as well. Next slide, please. So we held a public meeting again from on Monday, June 10th, and the public comment period was for June 10th to June 19th, and the Technical Advisory Committee reviewed and recommended on June 6th, and they have recommended adoption of the proposed amendment 1. So we are requesting you to conduct a public hearing as well as approve the amendment 1 that will be added to the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan.
Any questions for staff or discussion before we open the public hearing? Hearing none, we will open the public hearing at 1:53 p.m. Do we have any registered speakers?
No.
Anyone here present who would like to speak from the public? If not, we will close the public hearing at 1:53 p.m. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second. Second by Vice Chair Thomas. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. All right, motion passes unanimously. And we will move on to Agenda item 9, consideration and possible action regarding approval of resolution 2024-11, adopt amendment 1 to the 2024-2025 Unified Planning Work Program. Dr. Kumar.
So UPWP works as our 2-year operating budget, and it also lists all the tasks that MPO is going to be completing using PL funds. And it identifies directly on which task, how much money do we intend to spend, and that includes mostly federal highway, but also some of the transit funds. And also it identifies the task which goes into our annual performance and expenditure report each year, where we account for all the work that we did for the year for money that we spent. Next slide, please. I need to probably give you a little bit of background here for the addition of safety planning activities. Last year in December, TxDOT Commission, on the request of Association of Texas MPOs, allocated $1.15 million for safety planning activities for all MPOs across state of Texas. That translated to $50,000 per MPO. Several MPOs agreed to go with a single contract with Texas Transportation Institute to do the safety planning activities for all the MPOs together. However, 6 MPOs that either already had a comprehensive safety action plan on the book or had received SS4A funding to complete a safety action plan opted out of that option and made a request separately that they be allowed to use the $50,000 in a manner that's most appropriate for their MPOs. So we were one of those 6 MPOs. And we made the request based on the current CSAP. We realized, and the conversations we had with several small cities, that it makes sense for us to deploy mobile speed traffic radar trailers as much as possible. So we made the request that we would like to use the $50,000 to purchase 3 or 4 of those speed trailers. And then we'll allow all the member cities as well as school districts to use it in the best manner possible. We'll collect the data and use the data as annual update to the CSAP. So that was the proposal we made. It was approved. However, we received word from the Federal Highway Administration that in order to actually spend the money, it needed update in our UPWP. Therefore, all of a sudden, and this happened at the very last minute, and so we made a request to the policy board chair and the vice chair if we could hold a public meeting for this, since we are not going to have another meeting for the next 2 months. And both chair and the vice chair generously and kindly agreed for allow the staff to conduct the meeting. So that's what we did. And so if approved, we intend to use this $50,000 to purchase 3 or 4 speed traffic trailer. And we have already made the arrangements with the City of Waco Police Departments as well as legal for how we allow smaller cities and the county and whoever else needs them, they can use it for a certain period, and MPO staff will collect the data and use that to understand and update our CSAP. The second item is the transfer of, so we have 5 tasks in our MTP. 5th task is special studies, and that's the one we typically use to pay consultants to do the work. We had anticipated earlier that as part of the development of our 2050 MTP, we'll be using consultants for some small items within the MTP. However, we decided that it made more sense for us to use the research assistant channel to hire appropriate kinds of people. So if you recall, we have Bill Frawley doing some of the forecasting for the MTP. He also assisted with the categories for evaluation. And we are also bringing in one Baylor faculty member and his student as research assistant to complete air and water quality portion of the MTP as well. And so we decided to take the 100,000 from the special studies task and move it to long-range planning task, and that's what the second amendment is. We again held a comment period for the same time of June 10th to June 19th, and we had the meeting on Monday, June 10th at 10:30. Our Technical Advisory Committee reviewed and recommended on June 6th. It recommended adoption, and today we are requesting you to conduct public hearing, discuss and approve or modify or deny the amendment.
Any questions or discussion on the staff presentation? Let's go ahead and open the public hearing at 1:58 p.m. Do we have any registered speakers?
No.
And is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak on this item, who did not register? All right, hearing none, we will close the public hearing at 1:59 p.m. Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-11?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion from Vice Chair Thomas, and a second from Commissioner Jones. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously, and we will now move to agenda item 10, I believe, review, discussion, and directive action regarding submission of a proposal by the MPO to the fiscal year 2024 U.S. Department of Transportation Smart Grants Program. Dr. Mark? Oh, please do.
So one of the things I do want to point out is, because we had this discussion related to the UPWP, and it happens here also, that part of our process is we seek your directive action first, then we conduct whatever it is the staff conducts, and then we ask for your action. And that's what we do, so that two-step process for all the decision-making we follow. But sometimes we do have emergencies, such as with the UPWP we had, and we wanted to make sure that you are aware that that's the reason why we did not have the time to seek your directive action, because normally we would have asked for directive action, do the public engagement, and then have you act on it. But because of the timeline, we decided that it was urgent enough that we needed to move forward. But you will notice that it's only very rarely that we would deviate from the two-step process of decision making. But when it does, and in the next bylaws, we'll probably consider it, revising our bylaws to adequately account for it. For the SMART grant proposal, if you recall, last year we submitted and did not receive the SMART grant that we had applied for. First, I should tell you what it is. So there was quite a bit of investment made under the I-35 to connect Baylor with downtown. And so both 4th and 5th Street have major improvements that were made for bike pedestrian activities. All the signals have been upgraded on both sides of the I-35. There is plenty of investment that is made. We wanted to make sure that those investments actually pay off. And so the part of the SMART grant proposal was that we wanted to see if using smart sensors and some of the AI technologies, we could in fact enhance the pedestrian and bicycle safety even further. And so we have been working closely with this group from Netherlands. They are one of the leaders in AI-enabled technology that uses sensors to prioritize, not necessarily symmetrically timing signals, rather than based on sensing where the locations are within a certain time frame, controlling the lights differently. Similarly, that technology is also applicable for transit. And so we have been in discussion so far. Last time we submitted, and the project evaluation was actually excellent. The evaluation we received from there, but it was so competitive, I suppose, that in spite of being evaluated really, really well, we did not receive it. But when we looked at the evaluation, we decided that fine, if the evaluations were that great, maybe it was just simply bad luck, and we're very close to submitting a really wonderful proposal. And so we decided to go ahead and take the same proposal, revise it a bit, and make some small changes to it and resubmit it. So that's what we would like to do, and we would like to have your permission to go ahead and do that. Most likely, the most important part is that, and this is something that you see it in some of the reporting as well, that whenever there are pedestrian bike facilities, that investments that get made, the first question people ask is, there are 3 people riding or walking. Why are you investing at all in it? And so in this project, what we really want to do is figure out what kind of business impacts would we have with the Baylor campus being better connected to the businesses there. And so part of this project is actually regularly surveying the businesses to see if it actually had any impact on their activity or not. And so the point is that we want to have a data-driven conclusion, data-driven decision-making process, that we want to make sure that we can even prioritize which areas should we be investing better or the other. And so that's the idea behind this particular project. And this also gives us the opportunity, if successful, to test out some of the AI-enabled technology, which is sort of still very untested, somewhat untested, but is definitely coming our way. So that's what the project is, and we are looking to your permission to go ahead and submit it.
Which is the green line?
That's the Baylor shuttle. So Baylor.
From the city hall to the.
No, it's the campus shuttle that connects Valley Mills Loop Train and brings it around I-35, and it's largely works as a circulator for Baylor.
This is different than like the game day shuttle, right? This is like a daily.
But we want to include both. So in this particular case, because what we want to do is make sure that on game day, for instance, what it will do is that it will then allow us to be able to re-estimate how much parking is required for those.
Yeah, so your bullet says increase the ridership to the green line, of the green line shuttle to and from the basketball rink.
So that's one of which, yes, components.
So I'm not sure that, just my opinion, that's doable.
We want to find out. I mean,
Yeah,
yes.
It's,
Like, is that ridership?
it's a,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's a free, it's basically kind of a free for all down here,
Yes.
was my experience.
Yes. And that's sort of like, and in fact, at the last time, that's the discussion we had also, that it was, and there were several challenges. But we want to make sure, that's what we want to figure out, if there are ways to improve that and make sure.
And long lines don't help either
Yes.
in the rain.
Yes.
Are you talking about the game day shuttle? Oh, okay, yeah, for basketball or
Basketball, yeah.
basketball?
A rainy part of a rainy time of the year,
Right.
so.
You're absolutely right, and that's sort of precisely why we want to figure out if there are ways to make it doable. If it becomes doable, it frees up significant amount of resources from other areas. If it is not doable, it will be great to find out.
Great. And does the green line function on game days as a way of getting a lot of the workforce to Baylor? Like previously, it used to be under the Aramark umbrella, or is that?
It's mostly students.
It's kind of a student shuttle. Okay.
Students tend to use it quite a bit for campus.
Okay. Any other questions on the Smart Grants program proposal? And kind of looking for some directive action to proceed here. All in favor of having them move forward on this, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Got your direction there. Let's move on now to update and discussion of current grant efforts.
So now we're about to close out the FY 2022 SS4A grant. Right now, we are in the process of finalizing the grant agreement execution for FY 23. That will be on August 6th meeting agenda for City of Waco to go ahead and execute that grant. We have also submitted the FY 2024 sign inventory demonstration grant for SS4A. We are also finalizing the grant agreement execution regarding the RAISE grant, and we have the same timeline of early August, and we are submitting the SMART grant proposal as we speak. Those are the only updates I have related to grants.
Any questions or comments on grants? Okay, let's move along now to update and discussion on MPO redesignation.
At this point in time, I do not have any further update. If something comes up prior to the September meeting, we'll email you immediately.
Okay, so just waiting on text dot at this point, or the governor's office.
Governor's office.
Nice. Okay, let's move on to update and discussion from the TAC. I don't see Amy here. Zane, are you stepping in? I apologize. I didn't have that in my.
I guess well, we're kind of already gone over what we covered. Recommended adoption of the Amendment 6 to 2045 MPP, and then on to the legal CSAP, and Amendment 1 to the 2025 PPW. And we discussed MPP offering proposals. We received text out of it.
Any questions or comments on the TAC update? Thank you so much. All right, let's move on now. I don't see Clayton here. Is his proxy or a substitute covering? No.
Well, we so you want to make your announcement and then we can
update and discussion from the Texas Department of Transportation regarding significant highway construction within the Waco metropolitan area.
So we received an email from Clayton that there has not been any major update since the last policy board meeting. However, he did send us all the slides, and these are the slides that were presented to the technical advisory committee. And so what we're going to do is slowly, at Clayton's pace, go through the slides. And we can't pretend to be Clayton, but Victor is here. And
Victor, can you give us some guidance?
Andy is here too, and so we are in touch with Clayton regularly too, so we'll try to fill in as much as we can.
I'll try where I can. Once it goes to construction, it's out of my little house, and that's a whole separate process.
We can't hold you responsible. for what you're saying. Got it.
So, next slide. So this is the Sun Valley project, and we have quite a few slides.
Can
to show.
y'all read that, or do we have these? Does the policy board have these, or did we just receive them?
No, they do have it. It is in the presentation. But again, there's nothing. This is the same language as from the last meeting. That this is from Sun Valley to Hewitt Drive. We're adding turn lane, shoulders, and drainage. I'm really doing my best to pretend to be.
You're doing well.
We are still on schedule for anticipated fall 2024 completion. We're working on permanent pavement on the west half of the roadway between Sun Valley and Old Temple, removing existing pavement on the west side, continuing drainage work, and roadway operations is expected to be in June. And here are some satellite photos of the project.
So Victor, how far behind did this weather get us?
Talking about flooding, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is a Clayton question. So he's in the area office, and I get projects funded out the door to
Right.
construction once it goes there, and I haven't even driven this. So I don't know if they had issues with contractors slowing down because of the work, but again, I think that's something you would have to.
Any other questions on this one that you think we may be able to answer?
Next project is the University Parks widening project, and this is from 77 LaSalle Avenue to FM 3400. And this project, again, afraid we do not have information whether weather-related delay have occurred on this project either. So the project continues, and estimated completion is toward the end of 2024. And following other slides. Multiple, that project, all new main lane pavements and ramps are open, and U-turns and other minor tie-ins are being completed as we speak. The Bagby turnaround, almost all of it is completed. Beverly bridges are completed. If some of you have driven, it's a fantastic ride now as the project is nearing completion. And the next slides.
Just got to exit for Highway 84 about a mile before the exit.
Yes.
Just kind of get in that rhythm.
Yeah.
So this one I do drive it. From my opinion, what I see on this one is what's left is they still specific barrier up. So no big guard fence, and it looks like there's a lot of temporary barrier.
And the two upcoming projects are the milling and inlay for State Highway 6, as well as overlay for 299 and Loop 340. The expected timeline is mid-April is the starting date, and by late 2024 is when we're expecting to complete these projects.
I drove this one, it's like they're about 50% done. It's basically broken into two halves, a north half, north of Marvin, and then there's a southern half, south of Marvin, it's for the Falls County. So parts of McLennan County from the pre-sold to that northern half, it's pretty much done, and we just have to strop it.
Any questions about those? We We'll move on to our work group updates. Do we have any work group updates?
So the most important item that we want to bring to your attention is that July 17th is, so we do not have, you had the bike and ped work group update last meeting. We have not had any meeting since. But July 17th meeting for the connected automated vehicle is an important one. In a moment, we're going to get to why is that so important. Next slide. So in the organizational update, what we have is the NEVI phase 2 funding is going to begin. Next slide. So the way we have had a lot of discussions about when is the next phase of NEVI funding is going to become available, especially since I-35, the alternative fuel corridor is completed. And so we had a meeting with Michael Chamberlain from TxDOT, who is responsible for the NEVI planning at TxDOT. And the system, the way it's going to work out is that TxDOT is going to manage a competitive grant program on behalf of the MPO, and they have already created the metrics for scoring and selecting the applicants. And the funding estimates we have for Waco MPO is about $1.85 million of federal and private money, thus for the implementation. And this does not include the 5 years of operations and maintenance of approximately $5 million. So that's totals about 2.25 million or so. That's not a lot of money, but it is significant enough to make a difference to area our size. What we would like to do and what we're expected to do is to decide the parameters for what the study areas are going to be. And study area really is the project area that we get to define, that TxDOT can go ahead and do an RFP saying that these are the project areas where we're soliciting applications for. And we also would like to make a decision on what is the power level of the charging stations that we need to be. Typically, the timeline of it is going to be once the TxDOT Commission makes the decision to go ahead with authorizing the funds for the phase 2, 6 weeks after that for the RFP process, 4 weeks for scoring selection, 2 weeks for publishing the result, 4 weeks for environmental clearance, and then we have to add the projects to our TIP, which will vary depending on when the amendment will be. But soon after that, the actual construction only takes about fastest can be as quickly as 2 weeks. And so what we are doing in next slide, please. So we want to get you a little more information that typically what is going to occur is that DC fast charging stations will be about $150,000 per port. And what that means is that we would be able to, that translates to roughly about 3 or 4 locations throughout McLean County with this level of money. Level 2 chargers are obviously very cheap. They're about $7,500 per port. And the rule that we have is that within 1 mile of the alternative fuel corridor, which is basically I-35 for us, in order to have any of the charging locations, each of these locations must have 4 of the DC fast charging location at 150 kilowatt. And once after we do that, only then level 2 station can be installed at the same location. And if they are not on the within 1 mile of alternative fuel corridor, then we have the flexibility of choosing level 2 chargers or DC fast charger. But wherever we do it, the minimum requirement is that we have to have at least 4 ports per site. So a site cannot have less than 4 ports. And so those are the important considerations we have. Next slide, please. So based on our preliminary discussions, what we have realized is that US 84, State Highway 31, and Highway 6, these are the 3 study areas that we are seriously evaluating and considering if this is what we should recommend to TxDOT. However, we don't have to make any decision today. If you have any input, that will be great. We'll discuss it during the Connected Automated Vehicle Work Group meeting and bring a proposal for your action at the September meeting before, and that's what we'll submit to TxDOT. And so these are the 3 study areas that we will do and that we would like to consider. And in terms of power level, based on the discussions and our own understanding, it makes more sense for us to go all out for the DC fast charging at this point in time. And as more money or additional funding becomes available under community charging facilities or CFI grants, for instance, then we can cover some of the level 2 funding. DC fast charging east-west corridor in McLean County is a problem. Most of our charging locations are right across I-35, and so it makes sense for us to use this money to cover the gaps on the east-west side of it. So any question, comment on locations, thoughts, please let us know.
So I guess we will move along to the MPO monthly report.
Yes, so the most important item we have is that we already have the confirmation for the proclamations, and we will have several MPO staff be present for the proclamation event at each of your council or the board commissioners meeting. The luncheon will be on September 19th, 11:30 p.m. here at this location, and we'll follow up with our policy board meeting at 1:30 p.m. We will send a formal invitation for this location. Related to that, I do have one request from you. Next slide. We wanted to give you an update on the local fund and also seek your permission to authorize us to spend up to $2,500 for the 50th anniversary activities. So far, part of the local fund that we have received in FY 2023, we spent very little money of it, but in FY 24, we spent about $140,000 total. We still have about $59,000 left currently, and we are requesting you to allow us to use up to $2,500 for our festivity, which basically means covering the cost of lunch as well as some commemorative item that we have not decided, we have not considered yet.
Maybe a little live music, an open bar, wouldn't be out of the question, just probably.
Let's make that 4,000.
And we bring plus ones to the 50th gala. Bring your significant other if you'd like, but just let us know in advance. But yeah, we've got looks like a Thursday luncheon and then leading into the meeting afterwards, and we'll celebrate the good work of the MPO in the last 50 years. Any questions on that event? With that, I think we will move into our announcement here. The next regularly scheduled MPO Policy Board meeting is scheduled for 3 months from now, September 19th at 1:30 p.m. If you can't attend the meeting, please ensure you have assigned a proxy to represent you. Any agenda item requests for that meeting? All right, hearing none, we'll move to our hearing of visitors. At this time, we provide an opportunity for the public to address the MPO Policy Board on any item of MPO business not on the agenda. Please note to members of the public, the Policy Board cannot respond to comments received during this hearing. And Daniela, do you want to read that in Spanish?
En este momento brindamos una oportunidad para que el público se declarara a la Junta de Políticas de MPO sobre cualquier tema de negocio de MPO no identificado en esta agenda.
We will open the hearing of visitors here at 2:21 p.m. Do we have any registration cards? No? And is anyone here who would like to address us in the hearing of visitors? If not, we will close the hearing of visitors at 2:21 p.m. And being no further business, we will adjourn the meeting at 2:21 p.m. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great summer.
What's that? No.
We can set it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this week,
Yeah.